What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and if you're enjoying the content here on my channel, then make sure you hit the like button and make sure you hit subscribe so you can help decide what direction the content on my channel goes in the foreseeable future. You know, if I can get my hands on a copy of the cover that's big enough, or if I can like blow it up in Photoshop without losing too much quality, I think I'm gonna make posters out of the covers for the Dark Knight's Metal tie-ins because these are amazing. Oh my God, dude. Murder Machine, man, dude, it is. God, it's beast. This is an amazing story. Okay, so like all the other Dark Knight's Metal tie-ins that we've done, this comes out of issue number 2. Really, well, issue number 1 and issue number 2. But the stories themselves, the origins themselves are still standalone in the sense that they're basically just the stories of how these evil versions of Batman came to be. But the whole idea here is that this centers on this amazing version of Batman. So this initially picks up with Victor Stone, right, with Cyborg. And the only thing this really ties into in terms of the Dark Knight's Metal is just the idea that Victor Stone's father is really just kind of analyzing this idea of this nth metal. Again, this metal that everybody's aware of or everybody's basically learning about that kind of resonates with another plane of existence. Now, one thing to keep in mind, and we'll talk about this more once we get into Dark Knight's Metal, when it comes to the DC multiverse, the different universes are accessible due to vibrationary patterns, meaning think of the vibrations as a wall. If you can vibrate at the right frequency, that wall basically disappears and you can walk right into another universe. The cool thing about this is that that's the nature of nth metal. It's this metal that vibrates at frequencies of another, multiversal plane. And it is the manner by which people, the Dark Knights can access the main DC multiverse. So it's kind of the cool thing that goes on. But in the middle of Vic basically talking with his dad, he's suddenly met by the arrival of Murder Machine. And that's kind of the cool thing about this, is unlike the other origin stories so far, for the most part, they follow a linear progression. You have like one of these evil versions of Batman that shows up and then fights someone, and then you jump into the origin story. With this one, it actually kind of bounces back and forth in between the two. But the way that this works is that this version of Batman hails from Earth -44 in the Dark Multiverse. And it's this idea that in this reality, that the various villains of Batman's rogues gallery, Killer Croc and Harley Quinn and, Two-Face, were basically all led by Bane in a campaign to find out where Batman was. They effectively broke into the Batcave and then just tortured Alfred and then eventually killed him. Keep in mind, Alfred's not just a butler for the Wayne family. Alfred is Bruce Wayne's surrogate father. That's the role he's always played when it came to the various stories of Batman, whether it's an alternate reality story, whether it's the main DC universe. It's always been Batman's parents were shot in a dark alley and a mugging gone wrong, and Alfred basically raised him as a son. And so to have Alfred stripped away from Batman, he effectively crosses this line he can't come back from psychologically, because for Batman, for Bruce Wayne, he lost his biological father, which motivated him to become Batman. Then he loses Alfred, his surrogate father. What comes next? Well, you do the only thing you can do. You try to find a way to cope. And with the idea of Bruce Wayne, what he did is he basically went to Cyborg and said, I backed up Alfred's mind once upon a time, and I would like to turn him into an AI because I can't do it on my own. Now, this is just Bruce Wayne grieving, right? I mean, that's the beauty of this whole thing. It is him basically reliving his own father's death, but there's an out. That's the beauty of it. He's like, there's a way for me to save Alfred. And it's not Bruce Wayne doing it because he's just like, oh, I'm so used to Alfred, I have to have him around. It's basically his dad. It's his surrogate father. Alfred is the voice of reason. Alfred is the one Bruce Wayne goes to when he throws his hands in the air and says, I don't know what to do next. Am I really even making any progress saving Gotham City? Alfred is the reassurance. Alfred is the one that says, all you can do is the best you can. And as long as you think that you're doing things the right way, as long as you are living up to what your father would believe is an admirable role, then follow the path that you're currently on. Alfred is the bedrock by which the entire moral compass of Bruce Wayne is built. To have that taken away and then to have a momentary second where he can get that back, he'll do anything to make that happen. And that's what we end up finding out. In this massive fight between, Victor Stone and Murder Machine, between Cyborg and Murder Machine, the entire time, it's basically Murder Machine saying, in my universe, you're the one that made it possible. You're the one that helped me to become who I am. But what we end up learning is that when the AI, or when the Alfred AI was completed, the AI immediately went Skynet. It just went off Skynet. It lost its mind. Alfred becomes Skynet. What a title. But the whole idea is that the Alfred AI basically went awry. It went nuts and it started going through creating physical copies of itself, or at least these kind of nanotech copies of itself, and started hunting down every single member of Batman's rogues gallery, every single enemy that he has. It started eliminating all of them. This is a beautiful scenario to behold. I mean, not the death of Bane. I mean, it's not, a beautiful thing that he was killed by the AI, but the logic behind it is what's so beautiful about it. Batman is by definition about as logical and reasonable as a being can get in the DC universe. Batman, I wouldn't say is devoid of emotion, but the emotions he has, he keeps at bay. And so I would make a legitimate argument that Batman is actually more machine than man, just because of the fact that he seems so emotionless, he's so cold and calculating. But in this instance, it's his emotions come to bear, his desire to get his surrogate father back. When Cyborg of Earth -44 shows up and says, this AI is going crazy and it's killing people, we have to shut it down, Batman's response is, no, we can make it better. We can make it work. We can make it do what it's supposed to. And that's the beauty of all this, is because it's him essentially sitting down and saying, I don't want to let him go. The other half of this is that the AI itself is basically programming. The AI is not inherently evil. It is an artificial intelligence that's built on ones and zeros. In this particular instance, the AI was programmed to carry out the desires of Alfred. Alfred's most base desire was to keep Bruce Wayne safe. And so the programming is doing the most logical thing, keep Bruce Wayne safe. Well, the most dangerous thing to Bruce Wayne are his enemies. Bane broke his back in Nightfall. All the enemies that Batman has seek to eliminate him. So the most logical thing to do to protect Bruce Wayne is to get rid of his enemies. It makes perfect sense if you're a computer. And that's the basis behind this. Alfred was effectively brought back by Bruce Wayne. Alfred was resurrected in the form of an artificial intelligence. But the one thing that the Alfred AI doesn't have that differentiates a machine from a human is a soul. The ability to understand that things are not ones and zeros, that they're nuanced, that there is no such thing as black and white, that there's black and white and then a zillion shades of gray. And so because of that, because of the fact that this AI doesn't grasp that, at the end of the day, it does what's logical and it does what's reasonable. But for Bruce Wayne himself, he's emotional. Under normal circumstances, any reasonable person who was as logical as this computer system would say, well, no, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, this computer's, executing people and Batman doesn't abide by that. Batman doesn't tolerate that. We have to shut it down. Bruce Wayne's response of saying, we can fix it. We can make it better, faster than it was before. It's his emotions, but there's no guarantee that this will work. But that's the beauty of it, is because while the Dark Multiverse is the opposite of what we would expect from the main DC universe, it's opposite in both its physical structure and it's opposite in terms of how the characters function. And so in this instance, we end up finding out that the goal of Cyborg was to shut down the AI before it can spread any further. Bruce Wayne wanted to fix it. Letting it into the Batcave, the AI immediately latched itself onto Bruce Wayne and started modifying his genetic structure, effectively turning him into a machine, turning him into a robot. And that's kind of the irony of all this, is because it's not until Batman in the Earth -44 universe becomes this villain that exists according to codes and machines that he becomes almost identical to his version in the main DC universe. And it hits home to the idea that Batman's almost inhuman in terms of how cold and calculating that he is. But in response to the Earth -44 Batman merging with the Alfred AI and basically going on this rampage, it results in Cyborg gathering the Justice League and then Murder Machine killing them all. Every last one. The Green Lantern, the Flash, Wonder Woman, Superman, the whole 9 yards. Every last one of them falls, with this Murder Machine making all these duplicate copies of himself, attacking cities until Cyborg's the only one left. And where Cyborg in the Earth -44 universe simply responds by saying, I know there's still some human part of you that's in there. I know there's still some part of you that feels emotion, that's still reasonable. You have to listen. We can bring you back. Murder Machine Batman's response is, but why though? Like, I'm happy where I am. I'll never have to worry about losing Alfred again. He and I are one. We're combined into the same mind. We function according to the same whims and wants. I've gotten what I wanted out of this. Now, that's the cool thing about that, is because this juxtaposes directly to the main DC universe Batman. One of the biggest issues that the various members of the Bat family bring up time and time again that the writers always focus on is it's his way or the highway. It's what he wants to do, and then nothing else matters as long as he gets what it is that he wants. Superheroes have that issue with Batman. We saw that in terms of all the secrecy. We saw that in terms of all the cloak and dagger stuff that he pulls in the Tower of Babel, when we learned that Batman had this database on how to defeat the members of the Justice League and never told them about it. And so again, this whole idea of Batman being dark, being twisted, being sinister in this capacity is almost like an outward manifestation of who he really is in the main DC universe. And so that's why that's so cool. And so ultimately, he kills the Earth -44 version of Cyborg, which results in, of course, the Man Who Laughs popping up and simply saying, we can make everything better. Your Earth is falling apart. Your universe is coming to an an end, but I know a place, I know of a universe where we can basically take over everything. We can conquer it and move in an outward direction. Of course, all of this basically being done at the request of Barbados. So it's really Murder Machine Batman being recruited, like all the others, by the man who laughs at the request of Barbados. It's super cool in terms of how all this comes together and how it functions. But notice this, where, you know, this version of Cyborg from the main DC universe is just easily taken out by all these different versions of Batman. It's cool to see this happen because at the end of the day, Cyborg isn't whisked away by Dr. Fate. He's not suddenly yanked out and say, oh man, we need you. He's basically left there. Now, of course, he's taken prisoner by the Dark Knights of Barbados and probably going to be used for some future project. But again, this is probably one of the best origin stories that I've seen come out of Dark Knight's Metal. It is nothing short of spectacular. My God, this is one of the best stories I ever read. There's no two ways about it. There's no arguing with that point. This is amazing. It's hands down one of the absolute best stories I've ever read. I mean, you guys need to go out and buy this because it is super good. But with that being said, guys, we're gonna go ahead and bring this video to an end. If you are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoy this video, make sure you drop a like, and yeah, I will catch you all later. Peace.